سلام دوستان و بینندگان عزیز، من ساسان توسلی هستم و بار دیگه در حضور دکتر گایسلر، فیلسوف معاصر مسیحی آمریکایی هستیم و داریم یک سری مباحث رو با هم دیگه ادامه میدیم درباره حقانیت مسیحیت. هفته پیش در جلسه اول این سری مصاحبه صحبت این شدش که رابطه عقل و ایمان رو با هم دیگه کردیم و اینکه صحبت دکتر گایسلر این بودش که مسیحیت هیچ حرفی بر ضد عقل نداره و رابطه ایمان و عقل با همدیگه هماهنگی دارن در ایمان مسیحی. حالا امروز میخوایم یک بحث جدیدی رو شروع بکنیم و اون اینه که اصلا حقیقت چی هست و مسائلی که خیلی مطرح میشه که حقیقت نسبیه یا انواع و اقسام راه‌های مختلف همه بالاخره به یک هدف میرسه و این صحبت این که اصلا حقیقت چیه و آیا راه‌های مختلف هست برای یک هدف رسیدن یا اینکه حقیقت همیشه نسبیه و از دیدگاه یه نفر فقط یه چیزی حقیقت به نظر میرسه. این صحبت جلسه امروزمون هست با دکتر گایسلر و من سوالم رو از ایشون به انگلیسی شروع خواهم کرد. Dr. Geisler, thank you again for being with us today and let's talk about the truth. In the last session you talked about the truthfulness of Christian claims, that is based on evidence, that it doesn't go against reason. But what is the truth in the first place?
Well, that's a topic that philosophers have debated down through the centuries, but I think it's safe to say that starting with Aristotle and Plato and down through the Middle Ages, the great Muslim philosophers, Avicenna and Averroes, and into the Christian philosophers like Augustine and Anselm and Aquinas, that there's been 100% unanimity on this topic, and that is that truth is that which corresponds to reality. Truth is what corresponds to the facts. If I say there is a black Bible in my hands, that statement is true because in fact that statement corresponds to a black Bible in my hands. If I say now there is a Bible in my hands, that statement is false because it does not correspond to the facts, because in fact I don't have a black Bible in my hands. So it's very simple. Truth is telling it like it is, and falsehood is not telling it like it is. Truth is what corresponds to the facts, corresponds to its object, corresponds to reality, and falsehood is the opposite of true. Those are the two most basic things that can be said about truth. If you deny those, and you can't deny them without affirming them, by the way, which shows that they must be true because it's self-defeating to deny them. If I said to you, I do not exist, well, I have to exist in order to say that. So it's a self-defeating statement. And it's self-defeating to say there is no truth, because I would simply ask the skeptic who says there is no truth, is that statement true? And if that statement is true, then there must be truth, or you couldn't say it's true that there is no truth. So you cannot deny that there is truth. You cannot deny that truth corresponds to reality, because if you say truth doesn't correspond to reality, I will ask you, does that statement correspond to reality? If that statement corresponds to reality, then you're saying really truth does correspond to reality. So truth is literally what corresponds to the facts, and it's literally undeniable, and falsehood is the opposite of true.
But haven't philosophers come up with other theories of truth or definitions of what constitutes truth? من میخوام این رو بپرسم که آیا فیلسوف‌های مختلف نظریات دیگه و تئوری‌های دیگه رو مطرح نکردن که حقیقت چی هست؟
Yes, they have. Philosophers have come up with many other theories of truth, and all of them are not true. None of them correspond to reality. For example, some philosophers say, well, truth is what feels right. Well, a lot of things feel right that are wrong. Truth is what you intend. Well, you intend to do some things that you don't do. I might intend to give you the right directions and give you the wrong directions. So truth can't be in intention. Truth can't be in feeling, because we often have good feelings about what is bad and bad feelings about what is good. Some philosophers say, well, truth is what works, but lies work, and that doesn't make them true. So all of these other views of truth are wrong. They don't correspond to the facts. And if you ask them one question, does that view correspond to reality? And they say yes, then they really believe in a correspondence view of truth. So if you say to a pragmatist, is your pragmatism that everything that works is true? Is pragmatism a true theory? And he says yes. Then he says pragmatism corresponds to reality. Then he's really telling you that truth is not what works. Truth is what corresponds to reality. It's literally undeniable to say any other view of truth, because when you open your mouth to express that view, you are using a correspondence view of truth to express that very view.
We live in a society in the West, but it's becoming very much a global view, that what is true for me might not be true. What is true for you might not be true for me. How can we respond to that? سوال من این هستش که توی دنیایی هستیم، به خصوص در دنیای غرب، ولی به طور کلی این نظر داره همه دنیا پیش میره، که یه چیزی میتونه برای تو حقیقت داشته باشه ولی برای من حقیقت نداشته باشه. شما چطوری میتونی جواب این مسئله رو بدید؟
Well, let me give an example. Let's take someone who's living in a very hot temperature on the equator, and someone's living in a very cold temperature, say an Eskimo in the Arctic. The Eskimo feels cold, and the native in Africa feels warm. You say, well, it's true for him, but it's not true for the other person. The problem with that is that both of those statements are absolutely true. It's absolutely true that the native on the equator feels warm, and it's absolutely true that the Eskimo in the Arctic feels cold. And it's true everywhere for everyone. Let's call the Eskimo Nanook. Nanook feels cold. That statement that Nanook feels cold is true everywhere in the world. If you go on the equator and make that statement, Nanook feels cold, it's true there. If you go to Russia and make the statement, you go to America, you go to South America, wherever you go and make that statement that Nanook feels cold, it's absolutely true. And likewise, the native, it's absolutely true that he feels warm. So there is no such thing as a relative truth, because truth corresponds to its object, and the object is how that native feels in Africa, and the other object is how that Eskimo feels in the Arctic. Both objects, both statements correspond to their objects, and those statements are true everywhere in the universe. Let me give one other illustration. 7 times 3 is 21. That's true whether you say it in outer space, whether you're walking on the moon and you say it, or whether you're taking a trip across the Atlantic and saying it. Wherever you go, 7 times 3 is still 21. It's never 22, it's never 20, it's true everywhere. That I exist is true everywhere, everyone. That Professor Norman Gayseler exists is an absolute truth, because it corresponds to the facts. There is in fact such a person, and that statement corresponds to it. There are no relative truths. All truths are absolutely true, because a truth is something that's referring to its object, and that doesn't change. That statement at that time about that object is true wherever that statement is made.
But not all statements, are that simple, mathematical or geographical. There are many moral claims we make. This is wrong, this is right. This is the true way, this is the false way, and yet people disagree about all kinds of issues all the time. So they say it all depends on your perspective, it's all relative, and so there is no absolute truth. How do we respond to that? سوال من این هستش که همه صحبت‌هایی که درباره حقیقت میشه درباره حقایق ریاضی و جغرافیایی و اینکه من وجود دارم نیست. خیلی وقتا سوالا درباره مسائل اخلاقیه که این کار درسته، این کار اشتباهه، این کار غلطه، و خیلی‌ها میگن که نه، این نظر شخصی توه، این نظر شخصی توه، و هر کسی یک دیدی داره و یک نظری داره، ولی حقیقت مطلق این وسط وجود نداره.
Well, two things could be said. Number one, some people are wrong. For example, if I say the earth is square, I'm wrong. If I say the earth is round, I'm right. Now, people once believed the earth was square. That doesn't mean that it was true then. It was false. Their belief was false. So what changed was not the truth. The earth was always round. What changed was people's belief about the truth. When they said the earth is square, they were wrong. And when we say the earth is round, we're right. So you can go from a state of error to a state of truth. But truth doesn't change. Truth remains the same. But some people can, it doesn't matter whether it's a mathematical tables, doesn't matter whether it's a geographical statement, doesn't matter if it's a statement about ethics. Let's say some people say, well, hate is right. Well, they're wrong. Love is right, but not hate. So the fact that some people believe hate is right doesn't make it right. It's either right or wrong. It's either true or false that we should hate other people. And if it's true, it's absolutely true, and it's true for everybody. And if it's false, it's absolutely false, and it's false for everybody.
In regard to this discussion we are having, I think we should also address the issue of pluralism, that so many religions claim to be the truth. So many religions make conflicting truth claims. And I hear many people say, how can we decide? Because they all are so certain about their truth claims, and yet how can you make a decision in the marketplace of religious ideas? سوال من این هستش که خیلی ادیان و مذاهب و مکاتب هستن که ادعا دارن که اونا حقیقتن، اونا راهن، راه راستی هستن و این حقایق با هم تناقض داره و چطوری یه نفر میتونه بفهمه که کدومش حقیقت هست و کدومش درست هست.
There's a famous Hindu parable of blind men and an elephant, and one blind man is feeling the side of the elephant, and he says, this is a wall. One is feeling the leg, and he says, no, this is a tree. One is feeling the tail, and he says, no, this is a rope. And one is feeling the point of his tusk, and he said, no, I'm convinced this is a spear. And one is feeling the elephant's ear flapping. He said, no, this is a fan. And the other one is tussling with the trunk of the elephant. He said, no, this is a big snake. 6 blind men and an elephant, all thinking the elephant is different things. Now we're told by the pluralists, see, religions are that way. Some think that Judaism is true, some think Islam, some think Christianity, some Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism. They're all right and they're all wrong. They're all right as long as they're sincere, they'll make it, and they're all wrong if they think they've got the truth. That's what a pluralist says. Now let me tell you what's wrong with that. All 6 people were wrong. The elephant is not a rope, and is not a tree, is not a wall, it's not a snake, and it's not a spear, and it's not a fan. It's none of these. It's an elephant. The person who said it's an elephant has the truth, and all the other people were wrong. How do we tell? Open your eyes and look at the facts. You would expect 6 blind people to think an elephant was 6 different things, but how about 6 people who could see, looking right at the elephant saying, it's a giraffe, it's a lion, it's a mouse, you know, it's a cat. Open your eyes and look at the facts. Which religion corresponds to the facts? Which religion corresponds to its object? Truth is absolute, and truth is what corresponds to its object. Second thing I want to say about that is all religions can't be true. Some religions are actually atheistic. They're actually atheistic religions. They don't believe in God at all. Well, other religions believe in God.
Like what religions? Because a lot of Iranians believe that God has sent prophets, and all religions basically teach the same thing, to believe in God and do good deeds and believe in the day of judgment. So could you tell me what some other religions you have in mind? از شما میخواستم بپرسم که خیلی از ایرانیای عزیز فکر میکنن که همه مذاهب یه چیز گفتن، خدا برای همه قوم‌ها پیغمبر فرستاده و پیغمبرها همه یک پیغام داشتن که به خدا ایمان داشته باش، به روز رستاخیز ایمان داشته باش و کارهای نیکو بکن، ولی شما اشاره کردید به دین‌هایی که حتی توش به خدا عقیده ندارن و می‌خواستم حالا یه مقدار این رو توضیح بدید لطفاً.
I know it's strange to talk about religions that don't believe in God, but there are some. There are humanist religions, for example. Secular humanism is a religion that says clearly they don't believe in God. They have a humanist manifesto, 1 and 2. They claim to be a religion and they claim to not believe in God. Certain forms of Taoism and certain forms of Buddhism do not believe in God. But there are other religions that believe in a different kind of God, like there's some religions that believe in many gods, and religions that believe only in one God, like Judaism and Islam and Christianity. They can't both be true. I mean, if polytheism is true, there are many gods, then Judaism, Islam, and Christianity have to be false, because they believe in only one God. There are some religions that believe that in a pantheistic God, that God is all and all is God, that God is the tree, God is the air, God is the water. Well, obviously that's not the same as theistic or monotheistic religions that believe that God is the creator who made the air and the tree and the water. Either God made the water or he is the water. He can't be both. So both of those religions can't be true. Somebody's right and somebody's wrong. Or to be more specific, there are religions that believe that Jesus is the Messiah. Judaism doesn't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. Christians believe he is the Messiah. Somebody's wrong. They can't both be right. So to say that all religions are true is simply false, because it's contrary to the facts. Opposites can't both be true, and there are opposite beliefs by different religions.
Can't Islam and Christianity both be true?
Islam and Christianity in their...
آیا ببخشید سوالم این بودش که آیا اسلام و مسیحیت جفتشون نمیتونن حقیقت باشن؟
Islam and Christianity in their historic Orthodox forms, because there are distorted forms of Christianity and there are distorted forms of Islam. But Islam and Christianity in their historic forms can't both be true, for the simple reason that Islam believes that there's only one person in God, and Christianity believes, like the triangle, that there's three corners, or three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Now, if Christians are right, that there are three persons in God, then Muslims must be wrong. And if Muslims are right, Christians must be wrong. Second, Islam believes that Jesus is only a prophet. He's only a man. He's not God. Christianity believes that he's both God and man. Well, somebody's wrong. If Christians are right, Muslims are wrong. And if Muslims are right, Christians are wrong. Muslims believe that Jesus did not die on the cross and rise from the dead 3 days later, Surah 4, 157. Christians believe that Jesus did die on the cross and rise 3 days later. Somebody's wrong. Can't both be right. And you could go through all of the list of things. Islam believes that you must believe in Allah and Muhammad is his prophet, and you must live a life of good works over bad works, and on the day of judgment those will be weighed, and if the good works outweigh the bad works, then you'll be accepted into heaven. Christianity believes that you can't be saved by good works, not by works of righteousness which we have done, but by his mercy he saved. You're saved only by the grace of God. Well, somebody is wrong on all of those fundamental things. If you believe the fundamental teachings of Islam and the fundamental teachings of Christianity, they are diametrically opposed. One can be true, the other one must be false.
In this day and age, it seems so many people say that believing in absolute truth sounds dogmatic, sounds non-compassionate, leads to hostility and violence and religious hatred. So we should all tolerate each other and live in peace and not emphasize the absolute uniqueness of our own faith tradition. Are their claims justified? از دکتر گایسلر ازتون میخوام بپرسم که تو این دور زمونه خیلیا میگن که کسانی که تاکید دارن که نه فقط دین ما درسته، فقط این راه درسته، حقیقت یکیه و مطلقه، این نوع طرز فکرها باعث میشه که نفرت به وجود بیاد، جنگ‌های مذهبی به وجود بیاد، افراد با همدیگه دعوا داشته باشن و توی این دور زمونه به خصوص ما باید همه یاد بگیریم که با هم با آرامش زندگی کنیم، با محبت زندگی کنیم و اینقدر تاکید نکنیم روی حقانیت ایمان خودمون. نظر شما رو میخواستم بپرسم.
I forgot the question.
The question is, in this day and age many people say believing in absolute truth leads to all kinds of religious hatred, religious wars. We should live and let live, promote peace, understanding and tolerance, and we should not emphasize the absolute truthfulness of our own unique faith tradition.
we can't change the nature of truth. 2 plus 2 is 4. I can't change it. I exist, and it's not true that I don't exist right now. We can't change that. We can't change the laws of nature. We can't change the laws of logic. It's either true or it's false. It can't be both true and false. We can't change the laws of mathematics. We can't change the laws of good and what's good and what's evil. They're there. And we must correspond to them. We can't make them bend to correspond to us. It is not intolerant or bigoted to believe that something is true. If it's true, it's true. Am I a bigot because I believe that I'm holding this black book in my hands? And you say, well, no, I think it's blue. Am I a bigot by saying, no, it's black? I'm not a bigot. I'm not a bigot for saying that you exist and I exist and you're not me and I'm not you. Is that bigotry? No. My first teacher in school used to ask me questions like, is 2 plus 2 4? And if I said, no, it's 1, 3, 5, 6, 7. If I used any other number into infinity, she would say, you're wrong. Was she bigoted because she insisted on just one number? 2 plus 2 is 4, and any other answer I gave was wrong? That's not bigoted, it's just true. So we shouldn't call somebody a bigot because he believes in the truth and because he believes that the opposite of true is false, because everybody believes that in almost everything in all of the areas of their life. Let me give you an example. In everyday life, everybody believes in absolute truth. If you have a seat belt on in your car, and you have an accident and it breaks, and you go back to the manufacturer of the car and say that was not a safe belt, and the manufacturer says, well, I think it was, well, I believe it was, well, I feel down deep in the depths of my heart it was. No, you want to know the absolute truth, don't you? Because there'll be a lawsuit about that. Was it really safe or wasn't it? If you're looking at a road sign that gives a speed limit or something, you want to know, is that really the case or is not the case? And if there is ever a question about it, what are they going to look? They're going to look at the facts. In fact, was there a road sign there? And did it have a certain number on it? In every area of life, I was in the hospital not too long ago, and they put bands on your wrist with your name on so they can know who you are. Well, they had one band on my right wrist and one on my left wrist, and this one said my name was Gillespie, and this one said my name was Gayseler. Well, now, I want to know, they said they came in to stick needles in me, and they said, what's your name? I said, I know my name, you tell me my name. You know, am I Gillespie or am I Gayseler? Is he getting my medicine? Is he dying? Or am I getting his medicine? Am I dying? See, everybody believes in the absolute truth when it comes to safety, when it comes to health, when it comes to transportation. Then why should we not believe in absolute truth when it comes to religion? Why should we suddenly say, it doesn't matter in religion, you're going to live forever after you die in one of two places, according to Christianity, according to Islam, according to Orthodox Judaism. There's one or two places and you're going to live forever. So you better have the absolute truth of which one is the right one and how you get there, because if you don't, you're not going to do any better than the person who says, I think the safety belt was safe, or I think that the speed sign said this or it didn't say that.
This answer actually brings us to a conclusion, and then about how do we then make the decision? How do we come to that conclusion that Christianity is the truth? And we will start with the question of God in our next session. Again, thank you for your time to be with us today, Dr. Geister. جواب دکتر گایسلر جواب خیلی خوبی بود برای خاتمه جلسه امروزمون که حقیقت وجود داره، حقیقت مطلقه، حقیقت نمیتونه با چیزایی که باش تناقض داشته باشن با هم یکی باشن و در جلسه آینده وارد این صحبت خواهیم شد که پس حقیقت مسیحیت که اساسش وجود خداست، ما چه دلایلی میتونیم داشته باشیم که اصلا ایمان داشته باشیم که اصلا خدایی وجود داره. و بحثمون رو با دکتر گایسلر در جلسات آینده درباره مسائل حقیقت و ایمان مسیحی ادامه خواهیم داد. خیلی ممنون که این وقت رو با ما گذروندید. تا جلسه آینده، خدا نگهدار.